I just completed the first Tomb Raider game of the remake trilogy for the first time. I decided to play this 12-year-old game after a viewer recommended it to me on stream. Without having played any of the games of the reboot trilogy or the Uncharted games, I was quite new to the genre. My only familiarity with Tomb Raider was that I played some of the old games as a child, without really knowing what I was doing back then. So I started into this game completely blind, only knowing that this game is somewhat beloved and well reviewed. But with some nostalgia for the old games, I was quite excited to see what this franchise has become. So does Tomb Raider 2013 still hold up after 12 years? The game starts without wasting any time with an action-packed cinematic of a ship crash. Lara, on a mission to find the missing kingdom of Yamatai, finds herself cut off from her crew. Stranded on an island in the Dragon's Triangle, kidnapped and hurt, she has no time to breathe and desperately needs to adjust to the situation quickly. She needs to hunt, which she learned from her stand-in father figure Roth, and is forced to kill her first humans in order to survive. She clearly struggles a lot with the tasks at hand, but quickly grows into the role of the Tomb Raider.
I had to kill some of them. I had no choice.
That can't have been easy.
It's scary just how easy it was.
The need to rescue her friends is her main motivator, and the hunt for the kingdom of Yamatai seems to be just a side quest for her. At first I thought the story was quite by the book, but I was surprised at many points throughout the journey, and I found myself on the edge of my seat a lot. I didn't expect Matthias, whom you meet as another stranded character at the beginning of the game, to be basically the main villain of the game, even though something seemed to be fishy about him right from the start.
My manners. I'm sorry, I'm Matthias. A teacher by trade.
The role of Whitman surprised me as well, because my expectation of him switched a few times. He's the leading scientist of the expedition and basically Lara's boss. He was always quite unlikable to me, but I could never make out if he's a good guy or not.
What happened?
Once they stopped seeing me as a threat, they let me move about almost freely.
Even the death scenes surprised me a lot because of their finality. Of course, it's always sad to see a character die, still it gave the story some tension I really enjoyed. I always like it when characters feel like they are actually in danger, and it's hard to tell if they make it or not. Since not everybody makes it to the end, it's quite obvious that the search for the mythical kingdom of Yamatai came at a cost. At the end the question lingers, was the hunt for the mythical kingdom really worth it? Finding the city doesn't bring their beloved friends and even lovers back. Lara's colleague Reyes confronts Lara with being at fault, because she guessed the location of Yamatai.
Is she okay? Because it's all about Lara, isn't it? Have you forgotten that she's the reason we're here?
But Lara's spirit is unbreakable and she always rises to the occasion. Lara's character growth feels earned because she has to go through a lot. She's not just fighting for her life, but tries her hardest to free the others as well. Throughout the game, she as a character ends up in a place where she's almost unrecognizable from herself at the beginning of the journey. With every step, she develops more and more towards becoming the Tomb Raider of the old games. I'm excited to see where she ends up in the next two games. Despite the action being quite over the top, she still feels grounded, even with her feats being that of a superhero when it comes to strength and especially durability. I really like that she is shown to be clearly in pain when she gets damaged. She never feels like she's not just a human who has to do everything and more in order to survive and to get out of the situation. What surprised me as well was the supernatural element of it all. I did not really think about why the crew was stranded on the island, but as the storms continued it became clear that there's more going on and there might be a deeper explanation to why nature is acting up and people keep crashing on the island. So how do I feel about the game? Does it still hold up? Did I have fun? I gotta say, it's a clear yes. The game is not just stunning to look at, even with somewhat dated visuals, but plays great as well. I always look forward to the next combat encounter and to the next breathtaking landscape. combat feels challenging because Lara can't take that many bullets, but you can be clever about it. A stave is always possible, and the weapon roster gives you enough options to deal with each combat encounter. You can choose between the bow, which is the best for stealth, the pistol, which is the first big upgrade that you get, the assault rifle for long distance, and the shotgun for every enemy that comes close. Throughout the levels you can find parts to upgrade these weapons so you get more powerful variants, which encourages looking around the levels a lot. It was always a blast when I got a new shotgun or a new assault rifle, because every variant feels drastically better. There's also the skill system. Throughout the game you gain experience points, which you can invest in skills like increased ammo capacity or damage resilience. Through crates you find salvage, which you can invest in weapon upgrades like increased damage or precision. Since you have the option how to upgrade Lara, you can customize her to your liking and playstyle. I like the assault rifle the most because it became quite precise. I could headshot enemies with it, which gave me extra experience points, which I could invest to upgrade Lara even more. I also like the bow a lot, because I could start every fight with some stealth. It always felt rewarding to go besides the main path, because I'd always find something useful like weapon upgrades or some diary entries, which expanded the characters and factions even more. At the end, Lara did not just grow as a character, but as a fighter as well. It was a blast playing as her as she fought her way through the kingdom of Yamatai. Besides the upgrades you find, there are hidden tombs as well. These come with exciting puzzles that had me scratching my head a few times. At the end you usually get a rather big amount of salvage, which need to upgrade your weapons, and some lore about the forbidden land you inhabit. A big highlight for me was her finally double wielding the pistols. It was a greatly executed throwback to her original outings, and I was waiting for it the whole game, especially after Roth did it first. After it finally happened, it felt oddly satisfying and it came off like a true love letter to the old games. So, what are my expectations for the next two games? I'm quite excited to see if there's a throwback to this game, like if the supernatural element continues that is set up or was set up in the game, if the villains show up again, or maybe if the character death was not that final as it seemed to be. For me, there could be a little less climbing in the next two games. I enjoyed it, but it was a little much for me, to be honest. And I strongly believe that Lara's family story gets revealed. It was teased that there is something and that her father is missing. Maybe he's still alive, who knows. But I believe there will be a light shown on that, and I'm excited to see that. Would I recommend that game in 2025? Even after all that time, 12 years to be accurate, the game holds up amazingly well. The somewhat dated visuals don't stop the game from being stunning, the gunplay feels amazing, and the cinematics are still top notch. So if you enjoy a heartfelt story with surprising twists, levels with many secrets to find, and a coming-of-age story of a legendary video game character, I can strongly recommend you to try this game for yourself. If you made it that far, thanks for watching the video. If you'd like to see more of that game, I can recommend you my playthrough of it. For more, follow me on Twitch. The next game of the menu is Bioshock 1. Of course, you can always recommend games to me as well. We'll see you then. Bye.